Last night at Christine Sinclair Place in Vancouver, British Columbia, the greatest international goal scorer of all time bid farewell with her 331st cap, excuse me, and a very emotional night, to say the least. Canada wins the game thanks to a Quinn header, their first goal since 2018, goal number 6 in their career. Jordan, so much to unpack from the night. You, of course, were on the One Soccer panel with Danny Petrillo and Jessica Lisi. Was it a fitting send-off for the GOAT?
Yeah, it was. I think it was a good vibe all around. I think the 48,000 in attendance, you could feel it, the vibration. I think it was seeing that place in red. It's always weird, right? When you see a normal club like Vancouver Whitecaps, their stadium at BC Place, which was Christine Sinclair Place yesterday, just decked out in red. But
Spiders
yeah,
in their red too, Jordan.
Yeah, for sure. You just see the alum coming out. I think that was fitting. I think Christine Sinclair leading out the team, getting another cap. Just the way that she was playing the game, she played a bit free. That was all great to see. I think the only qualm I have with last night was just her coming out in the 58th minute. Like, I think this was the time that I just wanted to see her go until she couldn't go anymore. If that was playing 90, if that was her cramping in the 85th, I think that was completely up to Sinclair. It was just, maybe you could look at it in one way, seeing Sinclair giving Schmidt the armband and one coming on. But for me, I would love to see them play together in their last game. And I think for the players on the team as well, it'd probably be nice to just, even if it was 10 minutes of the players that were subbing on, just to be with Christine Sinclair. But the atmosphere was sensational. We were on the East Coast in the One Soccer studio, and I could still feel that. I felt like I was there just by watching and just by seeing the vibe. So that part was great. Sad to see her go, but what a career she's had.
Yeah, Garrett, the substitution for Abbotsford, BC's Sophie Schmidt in the 12th minute of the second half, which is why Bev Priestman decided to pull the trigger on that substitution then and give her the curtain call. Your takeaways from a special night in Vancouver?
By the 12th minute of the second half, it's the 57th minute. Whatever. That I'm going to be positive here because it was a positive night all around. It was like almost like the standalone made for TV event, except if you're in the building, even better. But it was Christine Sinclair's night, which I'm not sure we've been able to say over the other 3 games prior to this on the farewell tour. I give Canada Soccer a lot of credit here because Christine Sinclair got to say goodbye to 4 different cities in this country, from Montreal, in Halifax, in Victoria, all culminating in Vancouver last night. A chance for the country in very different markets and very different stadiums to say their goodbye. So I think this was a really good, really well executed farewell tour. Sure, in an ideal world, I would have loved to have seen Christine Sinclair play a little bit longer. At least she started last night. She didn't start the previous 3 games. I would have loved to have seen her score a goal. Like it seems very, very odd. Just completely out of place that such a great player hasn't scored or didn't score over the course of 2023. It's weird. Like I didn't expect her to start because she hasn't started. I didn't expect her to play 90 minutes because she hasn't played 90 minutes all year. In fact, she hasn't played 90 minutes for 44 consecutive games. So this is the right time for Christine to step away. She's 40 years old. Father time always wins. Her last goal came 24 games ago. So it's not as if she's the player that's like put the team on her back for long stretches, playing some very important games. It's time that this program starts taking a look at moving forward. And unfortunately, it means players like Sinclair and Schmidt and Scott and some of these players that were so important for so long to make way for the next generation of players. So, hey, she steps away, not only with the adoration, the love of an entire country, but she gets to step away as the greatest international goal scorer of all time. That's quite the title. That's exceptionally special. That is one incredible headline to go right atop your resume. So she deserves all the plaudits that she's received, and she'll continue to receive. She's not done. She's going to still be playing some club football, so see her while you can.
Yeah, she is committed to the Portland Thorns through 2024, and then who knows? There's some exciting news from Diana Matheson front. Project 8 as well. You have a feeling that Christine Sinclair will be involved in some capacity when that league takes off their launch. Circled for 2025. 5. And in the myriad of interviews that Christine had done in the lead up to this match, she told, I think, Oliver Platt in one of the 3 or 4 sit downs that she had done with the media over this week that she thought that that match in Toronto where Canada qualified for Paris was it. And she needed teammates and friends and family to convince her that the right thing to do was to do a proper farewell. And once it was announced that Canada would have 4 additional games at home, they did a very good job sending off Christine Sinclair. To the actual match, the X's and O's, Christine Sinclair's favorite part of these discussions, the football. And that was the fact that Australia had a brand new outfield for this match. 10 new outfield players from the match on Friday at Starlight Stadium, but it was the exact same outfield team that played Canada in the World Cup and destroyed them 4-0 in Melbourne, ending their World Cup hopes. With that much more feisty group for the Canadians here, Gareth, and for the Australians, do you think last night's results was more indicative of how Canada matches up against these top 10, top 15 teams in the world than Friday had been?
I'm not quite sure. Obviously, more so than Friday, which was essentially a second team for Australia playing. Look, last night was about Christine Sinclair. Everything about last night was Christine Sinclair. The football, okay. There's some things that you can pick up on. We know that Australia punched above their weight at the World Cup, being a host nation, galvanizing the country, riding that wave of momentum. And we all know at that time, Canada wasn't in great form. And since that time, the one thing that we can absolutely say is Bev Priestman has settled on a better formation that suits this team. The fact that they're playing in a 3-4-3, they look much more comfortable with it. It plays to their strengths. The 3 center backs are probably the biggest strength of this entire team. And they're back to picking up clean sheets. Not much has changed with this Canadian women's national team. They go out and score a goal at a set piece, a scrappy goal at that, and they defend with all of their lives. Like there's nothing new here. What will be new is once Sinclair and Schmidt and these players like officially step away, there's a real opportunity for younger players to put their footprint on what this national team is going to be all about. This by no means isn't any form of disrespect to Sinclair or Wilkinson or Scott or Schmidt or any of these leaders that have done so well with the women's national team for so long, but they take up a lot of energy in the room. They have big voices. They have a whole lot of say. And perhaps the younger group have different ideas, different forms of leadership, other ways that they want to take the program forward. Like, look, in the starting 11 last night, other than Sinclair, there were only 2 outfield players that were over the age of 30. Lacasse and Leon are 30 and 31, respectively. There's a group of players in this team that are now in their upper 20s. Like, the time is now. It's a big summer playing in the Olympics next summer, building towards 2027 for this group. This is going to be the last shot. And there's some very talented players here. But I'll just end off by saying this, Adam. Also, what other top teams in the women's game have is players playing at top clubs and playing regular football. The Canadian women's players, they're either not at top clubs or the players that aren't playing regular minutes. This is something that absolutely needs to change in order to close that gap. So I didn't really learn anything last night. It's much the same for me, but I'm not much more convinced. The cherry on top, the good news is that this formation is the way forward for Priestman and this team.
And Jordan, we saw Janine Beckie warming up with the team. Of course, she was not a member of the camp, but she was participating in warm-ups as she continues her return to play protocol. Desiree Scott was with the group, especially with that London 2012 team and celebrating Christine last night. So there's the new formation that Gareth rightfully alludes to, and there was also some players getting healthy. Remember, no Evelyn Vienne, no Deanne Rose, no Desiree Scott, no Janine Beckie. I could go on. And this team put in 2 very good results against the side that showed them that they had some growing to do just a few months ago.
Yeah, I said it yesterday on the show, calling it, but this team, this Canadian team, if they're healthy, you can flirt around with a few options and how you want to play, right? And I think we saw a little bit at the World Cup when you have certain players injured. Jade Rose was a huge one because you couldn't play 3 at the back because you really had 2 center backs that you trust in Buchanan and Jill. So if you can keep players healthy, and if they're coming in, if you can get a Beckie back or if Scott can get fit and get healthy again, right? The Bev Priestman has a few options. But I agree with Gareth. Nothing really has changed with this team. If they're gonna be scrappy, I think be good at it. right? So set plays, if that's going to be your bread and butter, and I've been saying and I'll continue to say it, is like, it doesn't have to be pretty. It doesn't have to be attractive, sexy football all the time in terms of build up and let's play this way. If it's taking care of set plays and making those moments count, there's about 4 or 5 situations yesterday where Australia gave the ball up in transition and Canada got into great opportunities, but didn't really get the final product. I think for them to grow and to beat better teams, it's punish them at that time. I know it's easy to say, but I see Canada when they play get to those opportunities and maybe you're missing chances and then you're losing a 1-0 game. I think it's be no nonsense defending, have no nonsense mindset, and then you'll get a bit of fortune going forward. I like to see it. I like to see what I saw yesterday in terms of, I don't think all is one. I don't think I'm completely saying this team's going to go far, but in terms of 2 games, 2 clean sheets, a system that seems that everyone is on board with. If they can get a few players peaking at the right time, maybe like an Awuja or Grosso or get in the middle, if they could be playing their best football and just add some numbers to the team. Yeah, they could do Gold Cup and then hopefully prepare them for the Olympics in the summer.